Alright, combat achievements are less than a week away. When combat achievements come out, I'll be making daily content showcasing and detailing how to complete every single feat from beginner to grandmaster. Today though, I want to share my top 10 tips to prepare for combat masteries. There's a couple of these that are fairly speculative on my part, a couple that are common sense, and a couple that I'm sure you haven't considered yet. So let's get right into it. Enjoy. Number 10. Supplies. Make sure you're ready to go by having a lot of PVM supplies already stocked up in your bank. Going from some more obvious ones to niche ones, you'll want to have plenty of overloads and adrenaline potions. You want to have plenty of food. Ideally food that does not drain your adrenaline or reduce your stats, like blue blubber jellyfish and Guthix rests. Though for some of the harder feat kills and challenge kills, you may want to have super Saradomin brews and even primal feasts ready to go. You want to have plenty of bombs. Vulnerability bombs, sticky bombs, and even poison bombs may see some use. We'll have to see. You want to have a lot of incense sticks, notably Quorum and Spirit Weed, as Quorum increase the damage dealt from poison, and Spirit Weed increases the amount of special move points your summoning familiars heal. That means you can spam even more Ripper Demon special attacks. You want to have plenty of weapon poison plus potion. Make sure to have tons of runes, ranged ammo, necromancy runes, and ectoplasm. You'll also want to have a lot of familiars and their respective scrolls ready to go. Calgarian demons and Ripper demons will likely be the most beneficial for speed combat achievements. You may also want to have plenty of Hellhounds and Reavers for challenge or feat kill combat achievements like High Enrage Archglacier or Zamorak, or some of the lower team size achievements like Solo Hard Mode Virago or Golden Daredevil. If you have access to them, make sure to prepare Dreadnips and Dominion Mines. Last but not least, you'll also want to have plenty of penance powders, powders of protection, divine charges, Viswax, and aura resets. Number 9. Perks and niche perks. Make sure you have a decent perk setup before combat achievements come out. At the very least, you'll want to have something very basic like Precise 6 and Equilibrium 4 for your weapons. You'll want to have any biting variant and a crackling variant for your top. And for the pants, you'll want to have some kind of impatient variant and enhanced devoted. For more advanced players, you may want to look at my default perks. You'll also want to prepare some situational perks for specific combat achievements. Caroming is a great perk for rangers using greater ricochet, but also very useful for magicians going for fast elite dungeon clears or Zuck runs. Flanking is a great situational perk for all styles. You may also want to consider investing in a piece of armor with the Dragon Slayer and or the Undead Slayer perks for speed tasks at the numerable dragon bosses in the game like ED2, QBD, and KBD, or the numerous undead bosses like Vorkath, Raziel, or Taraket. Genocidal perk is another great perk that can be used on any bosses that can be killed on a Slayer assignment like Karapak or Vorkath. Lastly in this category, if your speed task requires a specific pre-build, it may be useful to have a specific armor piece for the invigorating and energizing perks. Number 8. Ring of Death. You'll absolutely want to get a Ring of Death before combat achievements come out if you don't already have one. This ring has great stats for all styles, but most importantly, it has an overpowered ability to revive you upon death during your boss kill. This can literally be a lifesaver when it comes to learning new content or pushing yourself to achieve some big feats kills and high enrage bosses, or bosses with really punishing mechanics. You can effectively cheese through death and still get boss kills at places like Kalphite King, Zamorak, or really anywhere, but it's especially useful at those two bosses in my opinion. Number 7. The Consecrated Keris. The Consecrated Keris is a newly released melee weapon that's obtained after completing the Beneath Scabrous Sands quest. Now, this is a little bit of a speculative suggestion, but I'm expecting this to have some serious potential with some combat achievements and speed kills. By default, it's got the stats of a tier 80, but when paired with the Desert Amulet 3 or 4, it will deal 33.3% more damage to Scabarite and Devourer type enemies, while also having a chance to deal double damage to said enemies. For combat achievements, this applies to Kalphite Queen and Kalphite King, and possibly most excitingly, all of the bosses at the Sanctum of Rebirth, Vermix, Kezalam, and Nikatra. So if there are any speed killing challenges there, having this ready to go is going to be a big asset. Number 6. Seer's Elite Tasks. You'll definitely want to complete the Seer's Elite Tasks before combat achievements come out. This unlocks the Enhanced Excalibur, one of RuneScape's best healing items. Keep this in every PVM preset that you have. When you click it, you'll heal 40% of your life points passively over the next 42 seconds. This is monstrous for sustainability everywhere in the game, but especially times when you're taking lots of damage from multiple sources, like Solak Storm Skipping or during Inferno runs. It's also great while under the effects of Split Soul, which you'll use a lot as a Necromancer or as a Ranger. Speaking of ranging, completing this task also provides a power-up to all of your crossbows. Granted, a Bow of the Last Guardian is the best in slot and renders most crossbows dead content at the highest level. If you're a player that's using Blights or an Eldritch crossbow, this task set gives all of your enchanted bolts extra activation chance. So that's more Hydrix Adrenaline, more Onyx healing, more Dragonstone Dragonfire damage, and more 12k Ruby procs. Number 5. Archaeology Relic Loadouts. Archaeology Relic loadouts were just released, and now you can quickly swap from a PVM setup to a skilling setup. That's great, but that doesn't really relate to combat achievements. How about let's jump from one PVM setup to a new PVM setup? Here's a couple of suggestions for fun. You've got your default Conservation of Energy, Fury of the Small, and your choice of utility relic, like Death Ward. This will be your bread and butter, but what if you wanted a quote-unquote tankier relic setup? Well, how about Death Ward for damage reduction, Blessing of Het for enhanced healing, and Persistent Rage. Maybe you want a low HP one-ticking setup. Something like Heightened Senses plus Berserker's Fury and Death Ward will suit you. Having quick loadouts ready to go like this is going to be really a nice quality of life when CAs come out. Number 4. Optimal Rune Pouch and Quiver Loadouts. When it comes to PVMing with more switches in your inventory than there are monetization updates in a month, saving space is the key. One great tip for that is having an optimized rune pouch and quiver setup. Every grasping rune pouch that you have will save you 3 inventory spots versus carrying the actual runes in your inventory. Now these will likely change when time runes come out, but for now the best setup that gives you access to every important combat spell on every spellbook is as follows. In the first pouch, you'll want blood runes, soul runes, body runes, and astral runes. In the second pouch, put death runes, law runes, earth runes, and cosmic runes. And in the last pouch, put air runes, water runes, fire runes, and chaos runes. For quivers, you'll primarily be using the combo of Death Spore arrows and Wen arrows, and maybe you'll bring another quiver with something like Fool and Death Spore arrows. But here are a couple of other interesting combos that you may want to consider. Emerald Criminal Bolts and Big Arrows for major poison damage. Ruby Bolts and Hydrix Bolts for anyone still using crossbows. Full Arrows plus Jas Dragonbane Arrows are huge at 4cath. Number 3. Practice. Practice a few simple rotations before combat achievements come out. I think Necromancy and Ranged will be the 2 most important combat styles to be comfortable with if you want to become a Grandmaster. So practice a few basic things like a good Living Death rotation, using Adrenaline Potion on the same tick as your Living Death, and using Split Soul while still taking a lot of damage and still maintaining your Prayer Flicks. With Ranged, you may want to practice something as basic as building up some Death Spore arrow stacks and then doing a Death Swiftness followed by an Incendiary shot. Just having a basic understanding of how these arrows work before the update comes out will be a big help. Now, of course, a Grandmaster should be well versed in every style, but everyone knows just how busted Necromancy is and how it can carry you to practically any achievement in the game already. Ranged is the best damage, so you'll definitely want to be prioritizing these 2 styles. That said, you may also want to practice a bit of melee. Maybe a basic stalling rotation with a Dragon Claw or some Gmaul rotations for some one-ticking purposes. Let me know if you want to see a quick stalling tutorial before combat achievements come out. Number 2. Obscure damage boosts. Before combat achievements come out, take note of some of the niche damage boosting passive effects and items that will help you get faster kills at bosses. For example, the Nope 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 perk at Player-Owned Farm that provides a +3 damage buff against a Raxor, or the Stone of Jas buff that's received just for teleporting into the Glacier Cave. That'll provide a 6% damage buff against any of the God Wars Dungeon 1 bosses, including Nex. Passive Slayer Helmet on the Anachronia stand that provides a 15% accuracy and 10% damage buff against bosses while on a Slayer task. Or the Berserker's Fury Relic paired with a Rock Cake to lower your own HP and activate your Darok effect on your terms. Those are just a couple that come to mind. Number 1. My number 1 tip to prepare for the upcoming Combat Mastery achievements is to subscribe to my channel. I'm 100% sure that I'll become a Grandmaster with this update. And while I'm doing that, I'll be uploading in-depth tutorials as well as a progress series on this channel. So be sure to subscribe here and follow me on Twitch if you want to watch live. Also, I'm just kidding. That's not my real number 1 tip. That'd be a little bit too corny. The number 1 tip is that any dyed weapons and overrides that you have will provide a 6.9% damage buff against every monster in the game. And again, I'm just kidding there. That's not real, and that's 2 jokes for the price of 1. My real number 1 tip is probably just the most simple. Have a preset ready to go for every style. Here's a look at mine. I have a range, melee, magic, and necromancy DPS preset all ready to go. as well as a Mage Tank and Necro Tank preset for some harder content. These are just base presets without anything too situational in them, but having them ready to go will give me something quick and easy to edit for any specific boss. For example, if I want to go to Calfight King with melee, I can quickly throw in a Karis and Cinderbanes in my preset. If I want to go to ED2 with magic, I can quickly throw in a pair of Dragon Slayer Genocidal legs and Dominion Mines in the preset. Easy as that. So there you have it. There's my top 10 tips to prepare for the upcoming Combat Mastery update. If you found it useful, be sure to share it with a friend. Let's get as many people interested in PVM as possible. Leave me a comment. What Mastery tier do you think you'll be able to achieve? Are you looking forward to the rewards? I'm definitely looking forward to the update myself, so I hope to see a bunch of you following my upcoming Grandmaster Journey series. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.